As American civilization marched into the new century, the women of the land began to demand a measure of equality with the men.
The path for women fighting to gain the right to vote in America was a long and difficult one. It took decades of struggle by activists like Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and Lucy Stone. Now, a major new exhibition at the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery in Washington is presenting a rich visual history of the women's suffrage movement over a span of 130 years.
The women's suffrage movement just didn't appear out of nowhere. You know, they had these abolitionist foundations, they had partnerships with the temperance movement, and that is really how they built momentum across the country in the very early stages.
The seven-room exhibit features more than 120 objects from 1832 to 1965. Photographic portraits and paintings, books, banners, and posters provide an in-depth look at the people and events that helped shape American history. How many people know, for example, that Victoria Woodhull was the first woman to run for president on a third-party ticket in 1872? Or that activist Lucy Burns served 6 different prison sentences for picketing the White House? And that a group of American women staged the first major nonviolent march on Washington in 1913.
Black women were organizing just as much as white women.
About a third of the collection represents women of color, including African Americans who were often excluded by white women from major suffrage organizations.
This exhibition works to show a more complete history of the women's suffrage movement by looking at biographies of African Americans, Native Americans, and other women of color to complement maybe the better known story that we have in our textbooks.
African American women like abolitionist Sarah Parker Remond, who filed one of the earliest lawsuits protesting race segregation, Ida B. Wells, who advocated for federal laws against lynching, and Mary Church Terrell, who established the National Association of Colored Women. Today, American women have immense political power. They make up a huge voting bloc. More than 120 women now serve in Congress, and many others are in major leadership roles.
If you start from where the exhibition starts in 1830s, and then trace that thread with the suffrage movement up to this very day when women are actually leading our country, you can see the great continuum and the grand sort of narrative journey that these women had to undergo to achieve that. And I'm really excited to see what happens from here on.
Julie Taboh, VOA News, Washington.